I'll have to screw around with settings more.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like they've been bad. Just every once in a while I looked crazy because you weren't responding.
Yeah, and that 90% of the time that's what that was. Unless you did, in fact, go over the line in some way.
What's the code word for me going over the line?
Yeah, saltines.
Saltines.
Believe me, I let you go off on your craziness, but there is that level. I have that phrase seared into my mind. I know if you go way too far.
It is possible, Neil, that you have hitched your wagon to the wrong horse.
Mayhaps.
It may be that you have decided to jump onto the podcast with a person who is just certifiably crazy. And at some point you're going to get in trouble with me.
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good, it's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello, my name is Zachary with Old Man Gaming. You have decided, for whatever reason, to tune into another horrible gaming podcast. But I am not alone, nor have I ever. With me is...
Neil, a.k.a. a tiny wizard?
Wizard?
Question mark?
So we're here. We're going to talk about gaming, and let's face it, we're going to complain a lot. Although I actually have hopes that this is going to be a positive show, because I'm very happy about certain things. But before we get into that, we got to get into the credits. We got to give some people their due. Number one, if you're watching this on YouTube, you've noticed behind the fancy timestamps are fancy graphics. Any one of those graphics that aren't graphics that I pulled from the internet were provided to us by Mr. Mark Bell, and we thank him for that. And then, of course, the person who makes the theme song for this and all of the shows here at OMGW is the man who makes the music.
There it is.
Nick Van Sliders. And we thank you for that.
You said it. He's just going to keep going. He's just going to keep going.
I was writing lines before you got on.
So
that's my excuse today. I was writing lines for the second half of Season 3, and I had it on the brain. Not like I don't have it on the brain constantly while it's going. I've come to realize that as much as I love doing it, it is literally, I could name an ulcer in my stomach after it.
Oh, jeez.
It just is. Like, and even when I'm ahead, like, I'm constantly like, I gotta get commentary done, I gotta get editing done, I gotta get these lines written, I gotta get them out, and I gotta schedule the lines, and I only have 8 weeks of coverage. That's not enough time. Like, it's ridiculous. And it's all me. It's nobody else. It's my own anxiety. It's ridiculous.
That definitely sounds like something that's very healthy and very positive.
It does, right? It does, right? All right. Well, yeah. Let's get into fan interaction.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
That brings us to our first. Good start. That brings us to our first topic. Probably our most important topic.
What did you fuck up?
I fucked it up right off the bat, man.
No, you didn't.
Like right off the bat. Yeah.
No, it was fine. It was fine until you went, oh, God, I fucked it up. Now it's ruined.
Now it's real fucked up. Now it's all fucked up. Now it's just done. So our most important topic, our first topic, and that is fan interaction. That's where us, the co-hosts, talk directly to you guys, the fans. We read out your comments from YouTube, Discord, and anywhere else we can find them. Now, as you guys well know, I've been doing this disclaimer for a couple of weeks now. Our recording schedule has been crazy. We've been recording Thursday, which is the day after the podcast comes out, so it's very hard to get to all your comments. I'm not necessarily promising that isn't going to keep happening, although we are recording on Sunday this week. But please make sure you still write them. If I don't get to them in a week, it's because of the time difference, and I will get to them the following week. Just like Philbilly330, who commented on 2 weeks ago's show and said, never buying a Square Enix game again, fuck them. Good for you, Philbilly. They've had some real fucked up shit. I don't think there's a whole lot of response to that. I think we just kind of like nod our heads, and then
I mean, it kind of falls into one of two categories. You get something that they've got their hands in and have just mucked things up where they don't necessarily need to be,
right?
A la Outriders, or it is something that winds up being a good game in the end, but the development of it is long and storied and ridiculous, and by the time you get through the thing and you want more of the thing, you're already a decade out from the next one.
Right. Well, or it's just an abysmal failure like Marvel's Avengers 2.
I think that harkens more towards the first category.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, so we also got some Discord comments this week. From C-Town right off the bat, he says, I'm beginning to believe announcement trailers are to prove to investors that there is interest in a game. It's also why I think CDPR went Kickstarter. It's definitely to prove to investors that there's interest in a game. I've said that before, repeatedly on shows, that they make money off the announcement trailer. That's the Ponzi scheme in it, is they're selling this thing that doesn't fucking exist. Like, that's what they do. And they don't make the money off the pre-orders right off the bat. It's just when they see those pre-orders, then they can take that number and take it to the investment, get more money, stuff like that. So announcement trailers are garbage. The CDPR interest Kickstarter thing is kind of an interesting thought process. I still feel like... do you really need to prove interest in a Witcher game? At this point, like, do we need to prove interest in a Witcher game? Like, is that something we need to do at this point? Like, any video game investor knows what Witcher 3 was. Like, why do we need to go out and get people to give us money that far ahead of time? Like, this is even farther than pre-orders ahead of time, just to prove interest. I think it's ridiculous. He then says, I only say this about CDPR as the maker of Bloodstained went to Kickstarter to prove interest. Yes, but Bloodstained is a very different situation. They're a much smaller developer. They're much smaller. They had to do that to get the interest in. That's a different story. A AAA developer going to Kickstarter to prove interest in a game is ridiculous, compared to a AA or single A person going to Kickstarter to just prove that they should be in the market in the first place is two very different things. I mean, it serves the same purpose, but it's much more warranted by a smaller developer. I don't know. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, I think with the Bloodstained situation, Igarashi was no longer at Konami, and he was the one who did Symphony of the Night.
Yep.
And, you know, Konami has had no interest in Castle. Well, I guess in light of recent announcements, they have some interest in Castlevania. Right. We'll get into that later.
We will.
But
I have some theories on that, but we'll get into.
But they, him-hawed around so long, and Igarashi was like, you know what? I did it once. I'll do it again. I'm going to go to Kickstarter because this is something that people want. The same cannot be said for a dude, I forget his name off the top of my head, the guy who did Mega Man with Mighty Number 9. That was just a failure of execution, and all these other things. But again, those are two totally...
Right, it's a failure of execution by still a smaller person trying to raise money for a project. Like, the guy with Mighty Number 9 failed to execute that game, but he was still doing the same thing. He was a smaller guy trying to gain enough money to prove interest to bigger people to give him more money. Whereas CDPR has money. They have money fucking coming out their eardrums. Even with all the like refunds they did, they came out ahead. They've already released a lot of their numbers. They made tons of money off Cyberpunk. So like the fact that they go to Kickstarter to prove interest, it's just a way to drum up more money ahead of time without actually giving us a product. And it's just frustrating to me. To me. And Kickstarter is not meant to be used that way. It really isn't. It's meant to give the little guys a chance. You know, that's what it originally was there to do, was to give those smaller companies a chance at making it bigger. When the big guys start using that, then it fucking forces smaller guys out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Moving on, Kev Tutal also posted a link in the podcast thread of our Discord. I urge anybody to go check that out, or just go to YouTube and search XPlay, because Adam Sessler did a secretish history of the Halo Combat Evolved, the original game. He broke down everything going into the development cycle. It's about a 20-minute show, and Adam Sessler, I can't sing this guy's praises enough. His reviews are amazing. He's amazing. He's just knocking it out of the park. He's personally my favorite video game journalist right now. And yeah, it's a good watch. I highly recommend it, with Kev on that. Did you end up watching it?
Oh yeah, I think we talked about that on the ODST thing.
Did we?
Yeah, I had
recently.
Yeah, I had watched that roughly somewhere about when it came out. But yeah, the development on that was wild.
Yeah. All right, so jumping over to our YouTube comments. Right off the bat, William Hooen, who's my spirit animal right now, I think. He says, "Hi. Yes, Persona games are very deep time sinks. 80 to 100 hours for a single playthrough.
Mm-hmm.
And ideally, you play it twice to see everything. I love those games anyway. Will, I'm going to take your word for that. I stay away from JRPGs as much as humanly possible." Then,
I wish I had more time for JRPGs.
You know, that's another video. Go check out, because Adam Sessler hates JRPGs. But they made him play Persona, and he has a video on that. That's a really good video.
I listened to that one. That one was interesting.
Yeah, it was good. He almost convinced me to try Persona, and then I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. He then says, "Hey, Zach, is my audition to replace Neil still on Tuesday?" He then says, parentheses, "Of course, I'm kidding. The show would never be the same without our favorite tiny wizard, a.k.a. Neil." So there you go.
Oh, well, thank you very much. However, you might have more substance.
I am just going to say, yes, Will, your secret interview is still on Tuesday. I'm just kidding. He then says, "Zach, high five." I knew it. We did it. We high-fived across time and space. He then says, "Gaming in 10 years, I don't know really. I'm no expert, but I feel it's getting easier and easier to make games with the new engines and such. And so I believe that there will be way more indie games than we have now, which is good." He then continues, "To be fair, it's already begun. The past few years in gaming were great for indie devs, and I think that's just going to increase. Time will tell, I guess. Let's just hope it doesn't get much more depressing than it is now. Great show, and thanks for keeping me company." Thank you for listening, Will. We really appreciate it. We appreciate the comments and the words. I completely agree with you. I think one good thing, one absolute positive that we've gotten in the last, 4 or 5 years is this surge of indie developers, and the fact that the technology is so much more readily at their fingers that they can make bigger, cooler games that almost even compete with the AAA stuff. And we've seen this surge, and I think that's only going to keep going. That's only going to increase, and I'm really happy about that. And I'm not going to lie, if some of the AAA guys start to actually fail, I think that's only going to spur these AA guys up higher, personally.
Yes.
Okay. You need to talk now.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes it's we talk about a thing and we jump straight to the next comment, or sometimes there is a "what do you think?" I was waiting for the "what do you think?"
Oh, okay. I see what you're
saying. So I was like, okay, this is one of those. This is one of those that we are just gonna sit in silence for. Go back to my previous comment.
It's chaos. I bring nothing but anarchy with me, and then you try and survive it for an hour and a half. That's how this show works.
You're not incorrect. In that statement
at all. It's like Don Quixote. It's like, hey man, Just come along for the ride and try not to die. That's it. Kev then says, Melissa may beg to differ on the fastest opener, and then he put a bunch of devil faces. Sick burn, Kev. Sick burn. Talking about my penis. Great. I'm not gonna ask you your thoughts on that one, Neil.
I was literally just about to say, please don't ask me for my thoughts.
Kev Too Tall then says Borderlands 2 as 330 plays title idiot. What? He's got to be referring to something in the moment that I don't fucking know. But I am idiots.
Well, I mean, why don't you guys? I mean, why don't you guys just do Borderlands 2 instead of you guys did Borderlands 330.
Oh, I see.
Borderlands 2 330 or something like that.
I get it. Yeah, that is a possibility. I don't know. Phil Billy has played a ton of Borderlands 2. Like, I mean, an absolute metric fucking ton of Borderlands 2. You guys don't understand. Like, Phil Billy is much more, and I'm not speaking out of turn here. I don't think I'm going to offend him when I say this, but Phil Billy is much more open to gaming as an experience now and with the channel than he used to be. When he back, actually right before he got started with this channel, all he played was Borderlands 2. He had there's these crazy levels above True Vault Hunter that are like OP8, OP9, some insanity like that you can unlock in that game. He would have builds for that, like just absolutely huge, massive Borderlands 2 builds. He's probably put in 1,000 hours to Borderlands 2. I would probably say more than that. And that's all he played before he started kind of getting involved with this channel. Now he's kind of branched out. He plays more things. He's got the PC, so he gets more involved in the thing. So I almost think it would be unfair to him to be like, hey, that game that you played 2,000 hours of and did everything you could possibly do in it, you want to play it again with me, who's a dumb idiot? I don't know if that's fair to him, honestly. But I think we've got some good stuff coming. We're going to do some Led Astrays. We're going to do some stuff, I think. So we'll have some stuff coming that I think will make people have fun with it. Kev Too Tall then continues, Zach, let Neil finish a fucking thought. No. No, God damn it, Kev. There's nothing new coming out now. It's all sequels, prequels, and small iterations year to year. It's all the same now, says Kev Too Tall.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, for the AAA it is, right? Like, I don't know if I'd say that about AA. I think there's some really creative stuff in the AA, area. I think he's probably only referring to AAA too. But
well, I mean, you look, though, at things that are AA, like, Hellblade. Okay. Hellblade came out, and that was the, see, this is what we can do if people, kind of get the freedom to do what they want to do. But then, Microsoft basically took over and was like, okay, well, Senua's Sacrifice, so we got a sequel now. So, I mean, that's playing more towards Kev's point. Like, we can get these new ideas, and sure, we get these new fresh things, but at the same time, overall, we just can't let them lie. We can't let them just be that one thing. Right. Everything has to be a saga. Everything has to be multiple games, which, I mean, I don't think I necessarily hate to some degree, but, everything gets tired after a while.
Well, it plays into the fact that, something we were talking about last year, I totally forgot to start my stopwatch. This is going to be a nightmare. I'm
going. I have it. It's going.
I knew I forgot something. One thing I will say that we talked about last time that we touched on is, the AAA companies, they don't have the ability to fail. Like, they don't have the ability to take those risks. And as long as they can't take those risks, we're not going to see that new product. We're not going to see those new products except from the smaller guys. And that's a real bummer. I agree completely that it's just like, it is a lot of sequels and prequels. I don't necessarily hate sequels and prequels, but I will say that, when you get a year when it's all sequels or prequels to games that you never necessarily got into, it makes it harder. You get this weird barrier to entry for players, I think, that kind of pushes them away. Does that make sense? Like when you end up getting into this area of like, okay, well this year we've only got a sequel to Gears, we got a sequel to let me see, another game I don't play, Persona. We only got these sequels. I'm not going to jump in on number 4.
Right.
You know?
And I get that too. Like that goes for a lot of other things too. I mean, TV shows and stuff like that. There's, where do you start? Right. You can't, unless you start from the very beginning and go all the way through. Like the last time I did something like that was when I played through all the Uncharted games, which was great, but oh my God, I had the time to spare at that point, thank God. But like now, if I was like, oh, well, I want to, let's start, Uncharted, it would take me multiple years or at least, one entire summer.
Yeah,
to be able to get through them.
And they're super expensive to buy all of them. It's not like buying movies where you can just go get the last iterations for cheap, or even find them on a streaming service. It's like a lot of them you have to like go buy them all. I'm not gonna do that. So I don't know. I think that like, yeah, he's got a point. It's something we've been talking about for a while. I think that like there is a lack of like new content, and while that isn't necessarily a bad thing, because I like seeing what they do with the characters that already exist, it does get old if you don't have any new blood getting put into the mix.
Right.
So, all right. So then Kev goes 10-year predictions. Number 1, PC best. Number 1, Xbox excellent. Number 2, PlayStation better. Number 3, Nintendo good. I don't know what that means. Like, are they gonna get better? Oh, or just like overall, that's the way it should be.
Yeah. Overall, I'm assuming
they no longer make competing systems. They are graphical quality tiers. All games come out for all 4 ways to play. It's absurd. It will never work. It was just a pleasant thought at the end. I saw the world burning behind a shiny facade. Okay. Got very poetic there, Kev. At the end. Yeah, it's not bad. I see what you're saying. So, like, it's just graphical tiers. I mean, you're right. It's never going to happen. Especially since PlayStation is still fighting a war that I don't know that the other companies are anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I
mean? To avoid spinning this off into an entire thing. They all have kind of. There was the console wars. I don't think the console wars are a thing anymore, especially like this past generation was very much a teller of that, because everybody's now got their own way of doing things. Nintendo's cloud-based for a lot of the AAA games now.
Right.
Microsoft is more selling you a service than actual games. And Sony is the one who's still sticking true to the OG classic, new gen, new games, apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to see anything of that for the next maybe 2 years, I think. But everybody's off on their own thing. And PC has just been what PC is. Mm-hmm. It's just people are now realizing more so, given what they see on consoles, what consoles can do, and especially given the fact that nobody can get a hold of these consoles. Granted, you can't get a hold of graphics cards still, but a lot of people are, like you guys, considering making that jump into PC because of, the longevity for what you get with your investment.
You know what makes PC the best is the fact that there's no driving force behind it. Like, no one singular driving force behind it. I mean, you can make an argument for the graphics card companies, you can make an argument for Valve, but really at the end of the day, like, Xbox, Microsoft's behind it. PlayStation, Sony's behind it. Nintendo's behind it. They're localized. They have their ecosystem. That's the way it is. They have their specific technology. That's what they want to feed to people. Whereas PC is like a group of a ton of different technologies, and you get to pick and choose what you want out of it. And because of that, that's what makes PC the best. It's because you can be like, well, I want the AMD graphics card, and I want the MSI processor board, and then I'm going to go to Steam, and I'm going to going to go to Epic Gaming, and I'm also going to use Games Pass. And like the fact that you have so much more variety of companies, it makes this space where they're all just kind of existing. And they don't necessarily, like, you don't have this, like, well, if you buy PC, you have to have this, this, and this, and this. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you can't play this, this, and this, and this. Like, it's more like just this ecosystem, this catch-all for all the other things. And I think that's what makes PC the best, is the freedom of choice and the versatility in it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Then Kev Too Tall says Cyberpunk was the best game ever with a devil face. I'm not even going to take that seriously. I don't think we need to respond to that. And then Kev Too Tall then says, Neil, you want to fight Ra? Play Smite.
I know of Smite.
I know of Smite.
I am aware of Smite.
I'm going to tell you right now, Kev Too Tall, there is not a game on this planet that you could, like, that is so far away from Neil's interest and enjoyment in a game that, like a competitive MOBA. Yeah, I don't think Neil wants anything to do with that one. So.
And it's too bad, too, because I remember when I first heard about Smite, I was all for it. And then, like, how it worked and everything, I was like,
I need a game of everything. Like, that's usually how I am. Like, I need a competitive online game for when I'm in that mood. I need a story game when I'm in that mood. I need, like, a game to fit each niche. I don't play just story, single player, or just multiplayer. Like, I just need something for whenever I'm in that mood.
I just glom onto one thing at a time. Like, right now, I'm back Deltarune because Chapter 2 came out, and I have to make sure that I get through that by the 8th.
Yeah, I know. He's coming out with all the stuff. It's great. All right. Well, you want to move on to our talking point?
Sure.
All right.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to our talking point. And you notice I say one talking point. I know we've only been doing one, even though we've meant to do two. But we're pretty positive this talking point is going to take us all the way through to odds and ends. Because out of nowhere, and I mean out of fucking nowhere, the day before, Nintendo's like, hey, tomorrow, full Nintendo Direct. Full Nintendo Direct tomorrow. Full.
That's wild.
Okay, well, I guess we'll watch it. And personally, I'm like, well, that's not going to be anything, or there would have been more fanfare. And guess what, guys? There was a lot. There was a lot on this Nintendo Direct. A lot on this Nintendo Direct.
Before we really get into it,
sure.
There was a news story that had come out about a Nintendo patent for a new controller that had leaked out a couple days prior with the non-disclosure date or whatever being like the day after the Direct actually happened.
Right.
And everybody was buzzing around like, ooh, there's going to be a Direct. There has to be a Direct. And it was all over the place. Some were saying yes, some were saying no, because Nintendo just up until recently hadn't had Directs at all, really, up until the beginning of this year. And then, out of nowhere, they were like, let's do a thing. And they certainly did a thing.
Yeah, they definitely did a thing. They did a big thing. And it was good. I liked it. I really liked it. I didn't get to watch it live because they, weirdly, instead of putting it on in the afternoon, they put it on at night here at like 6 p.m. So, like, I was like, well, that's my anniversary at 6 p.m. I can't be like, hey, you know what we should do for our anniversary? Watch Nintendo Direct for an hour and a half. No, so I didn't, but I went back later and checked it out, and I was surprised at what they were showing. A lot of the stuff kind of blew me away. So let's get into it. And I'm actually going to start at the bottom and go to the top because the bigger stuff is at the top. So we'll lead up to it. So these first ones, I think we can just kind of like scroll over because I don't think that either one of us has a ton to say about them. First one is Arcade Archives Pac-Man. Arcade Archives Xevious adds more arcade classics to Switch, which who gives a shit, unless you're a Pac-Man fan, in which case, go get it. And that was today. That was as of the Direct, which was on the 23rd. Then Rune Factory 5 and its farming and RPG action arrive on Switch in 2022. I have never even heard of that game. Have you?
Yeah, no.
No, but it basically Rune Factory 5 will be releasing a Nintendo Switch on March 22nd of 2022. Weird that they went with the all twos. And follows a hero who is able to farm, battle, and tame monsters, go fishing, build relationships with other characters, and more. It actually sounds kind of up my alley, so I'm going to have to watch some trailers on that, because, okay. Then we have Shadowrun Trilogy brings 3 classic RPGs to Switch in 2022. So the old Shadowrun games, the kind of like top-down isometric RPGers, Shadowrun Returns, Shadowrun Dragonfall, that kind of thing. They're putting it in a collection, putting it on Switch. You got anything to add to that one?
I know those games exist, and that's about it.
Right. Then there's a Disney Magical World 2 Enchanted Edition, brings the magic of Disney Switch.
That was bizarre.
Okay. Tell me about that one, because I don't know anything about either Disney Magical World or Disney Magical World 2.
I mean, I didn't either, and I'm looking at this trailer. I'm like, what is that? Why does this look so bad? And I guess it was like an Xbox 360 Connect game.
Really?
That they were just like, hey, let's put it on the Switch. I'm like, who was clamoring for this?
It says the only description that they give, because I'm reading the summary, is Disney Magical World 2 Enchanted Edition lets players hang out with classic Disney characters.
Or wait, no, it's a 3DS game, I think.
Yeah, it's 3DS. Like Mickey Mouse, while crafting items, exploring Disney worlds, and much more, this game will arrive holiday 2021 and includes all DLC from the original 3DS version. What's even weirder is the character almost looks like an Animal Crossing character. Like you make a little Animal Crossing person. Like, I was like, is this Animal Crossing with Disney people? Like, it's very strange.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah. Then we have new trailer shows off for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity and new expansion pass content. We receive a new look at Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity's newest wave of expansion pass content, which will be released October 29th, 2021. This content will include a new duo character in Pura and Robbie, new stages like Coliseum and Kakariko Village, and new story sequences. Were you into Hyrule Warriors? I feel like you were.
Yeah, I remember playing the demo a fair amount. Now, I'd never played any sort of like 1v100 sort of
like Dynasty Warrior
like Dynasty Wars or anything, but I was a huge fan of Breath of the Wild, so I jumped on it, and I kind of had some enjoyment of it. I remember it came out roughly about the same time as Cyberpunk, and I remember saying, oh yeah, I need to come back to this after I get done with Cyberpunk, and I've just never gotten around to it. But yeah, I mean, that was kind of interesting. I think it's interesting that they are still keeping the Dynasty Warriors, Hyrule Warriors, whatever thing going from the original one that they did on the Wii U, porting it over to the Switch, and then using just like the Breath of the Wild iconography to turn it all into its own thing to kind of keep that hype train still going for whenever Breath of the Wild 2 inevitably comes out.
Right. Yeah, it's very interesting. Like I said, I just don't get into these kind of games. I used to when I was a kid. I just don't anymore. But yeah, it's very interesting. Then we have Disco Elysium Final Cut arrives on Switch on October 12th, so they're putting Disco Elysium on Nintendo Switch. I never played that. I'm pretty sure you never played that.
No, and I have wanted to.
Oh yeah? That does seem like a Neil game.
I have absolutely wanted to, and I remember when it first came out, telling Kayla about it, and that's a game too that I think that she would absolutely get a kick out of. Yeah, it is pretty much a very me game.
Yeah, it is.
Heavy story focus.
Story focus. A lot of very cerebral stuff in it. Yeah, it definitely looks like a you game. Well, the Final Cut comes out on Switch on the 12th, so you can get it on Switch.
Yeah.
All right, then next we got Chocobo GP brings a Final Fantasy racing game. Coming to Switch in 2022. This looks dumb as hell to me. I just want to say that.
Yeah, I don't.
Right?
And yet again, like, we have Mario Kart on the Switch. We've got, Crash is ported over to the Switch. The Nitro Kart, I'm pretty sure it had gotten a port over onto the Switch. And we still don't have a new F-Zero for the past 3 generations now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know. It was kind of frustrating for me.
Yeah, it's really weird to me that they like, I don't understand this. I don't understand why why would you need a racing game on a Final Fantasy character? Anybody who Final Fantasy is speaking to is not going to want a kiddie racing game out of it, in my opinion. I don't know. Does that make sense? Like,
there's only one way to race in Final Fantasy, and that is racing on chocobos against other chocobos.
Right. And I would get that. If you made a whole game out of that, I'd be a little bit more behind it. But to make it like a silly kart racer, it's just so counter what it is, Like those are, like, if it's a mascot game, okay, but you don't make like Street Fighter the kart racer, Like, I don't know. It just seems so counter to what the culture of Final Fantasy is,
Yeah.
All right, so, and then this one is all about you, buddy. Deltarune Chapter 2 makes its way to Switch later today. So it's
I shit my fucking pants.
I shit my pants everywhere.
Especially too, because whenever it was, I don't know why they didn't wait on the announcement for Deltarune Chapter 2 as a whole another week, because it was a week afterwards that this was announced for the Switch. Because I came home whenever Deltarune, the second chapter, came out, and downloaded for the PC because it was the only way that I could get it, and because I had played through Chapter 1 on the Switch, I was like, well, shit. Right. I want to go through and, carry my save over. So I had already restarted the first chapter of Deltarune on the PC. And then, a week later, oh, yeah, by the way, it's also on the Switch. So I was like, well, crap. So
right.
I had already I was already halfway through Chapter 1 at that point.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's awesome, though. You're getting your Deltarune out there. It's not a whole lot for me to add to this because I'm not into that kind of game, but that's awesome.
Yeah, it was.
He shit his pants.
Shit my pants.
The next one up does kind of interest me, which I really have to give it to Nintendo on this game. I am so impressed with how they're keeping up with it, and I'm going to say right now, guys, I kind of let you down. Like I said, this was my anniversary weekend, so I did not have a ton of time to jump in and figure out what this game... I think I only played like maybe an hour of video games in the last 4 days, so I just didn't have time to play this. But Mario Golf Super Rush got another free update, Neil.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it's a sizable update. They added 2 new characters and apparently a new course, but I haven't seen the course. The new characters are Koopa Troopa, which I'm super excited to play, and Ninja, which I've never heard of in my life. I have no idea what Ninja is. Do you know what Ninja is?
I think he's from one of the 3D World or something like that for
I have no idea what Ninja is, but still. Man, 2 new characters, Koopa Troopa and Ninja, and then apparently new courses. I think this is so cool that they've kept up with this game and they just keep adding to it and making that game better, and they're adding free stuff, which is not a Nintendo MO. It just isn't. Like, Nintendo's much more you pay for the DLC sort of company. And the fact that we've gotten 2 sizable free updates in as many months as that's been out, well, it's probably been more like 3 months now, but still, like, that's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm very impressed with it. And that was a big one for me. Like, I definitely wasn't expecting to see anything up so soon after the last one,
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to the next one. We're going to get a little negative on this one, because I think this is the dumbest shit ever. Dying Light 2, Stay Human. That's right. That game that had an indefinite an indefinite delay now has a release date, but only on the Switch Cloud version. But it's coming to Cloud version on Nintendo Switch. So Dying Light 2 will arrive on Switch on February 4th. Yeah, right. 2022 as a cloud version, and free demo will be available on the same day. On October 19th, Dying Light Platinum Edition will be released on the Switch and will help prepare fans for the sequel to help with the wait. So October 19th, they're releasing the original Dying Light. Cool, great. On the Switch, cool, great. But Dying Light 2, okay, so just if you guys haven't been following this podcast, you haven't following this, Dying Light has been this game that's like, here's a release date, then it gets delayed indefinitely, then like 5 months later you get another release date, then it's like, nope, we can't do that, we're not going to tell you when we're releasing it, just over and over again. Recently, I think last month, right? Yeah. Not even, like 2 weeks ago. I don't even think it was last month. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. They were like, hey, we can't get this done by the release date, which was supposed to be next month, if I recall correctly, October. We can't get this done by our release date, and we can't tell you when we're going to be releasing it. All we can say is that it's coming out in 2022. Thank you for your patience. So it gets another release date into another year. This has already been going on for what, like, I want to say like 4 years. Maybe.
I feel like it's been longer.
You think it's been long? It's been a while, right? Like
it's been a long time.
But now, without actually going back on that, they say that it's going to come out on Switch on February 4th via this, like, thing. So, like, does their delay, which only happened 2 weeks ago, include this and Nintendo didn't get the memo? Is this the release date for the actual game? Is it literally coming out in cloud version on Switch first? Like, what is happening with this game right now?
I have no idea.
I mean, this is super weird, right?
2018 was when Dying Light 2 got announced originally.
All right, so that's 4 years. Probably they've been working on it for 5 years, but it's been 4 years that we've known about it.
Yeah.
I think that's insane, right? Like to say it's delayed indefinitely till 2022, then to give us a release date, and this release date is in 2022. But, like, I'm very confused by this. Like, does this count for everything or just this? And if it literally releases on Switch and cloud version first, that is the worst idea that any company has ever had in the history of video games.
So when I'm actually looking, when I just Googled this here just now, it is showing that it's set to be released on February 4th, 2022.
Okay. All right.
So that is the
full
official...
release date.
Like the real release date, presumably.
Until they cancel it again.
All right.
It'll think come out crazy,
the same time. It'll come out the same time as Dead Island 2 and Skull and Bones.
And Scalebound.
Scalebound. Oh. R.I.P. Scalebound.
I mean, this is so weird, though. Like, I've never seen a company do that. I've never seen a company go, release a Twitter that says, we can't give you a release date, we're not sure. Then on a Nintendo Direct, 2 weeks later, say, oh, it's coming out on the 4th in cloud version, but not actually say it's coming out. Like, the announced trailer itself doesn't say that the game itself is coming out on the 4th. It says the cloud version of it is coming out on the 4th. And then you're left like, so... Like, I can assume the game's coming out, but it's very strange.
Yes, very much so.
It's the weirdest thing to do, especially with a game that's just had nothing but controversy and delays, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, totally insane. I guess moving on. Yoko Taro's card RPG Voice of Cards heads to Switch this October. I don't know about this game. Do you know about this game? Because I don't know.
I hadn't seen heard anything about this until this trailer. It's very Nintendo unique is what it is, and not in like a bad way. Literally everything is cards. Like even like the overworld is cards. Like you are moving a token over top of cards. It looks like it could be a thing. Like it could turn out to be an okay thing. I don't think it's something that I would go out and buy the day that comes out. but if it ever like got a demo or something like that, I would give it a shot.
Can I take you on a little digression and tell you something I'm really fucking sick of in video games?
Oh, what is that?
The word cards. I am so sick of cards. Why does everything have cards in it? I'm so sick of cards. And what's so irritating to me about it is I love collectible card games, like I do. So when I hear the word cards, I think, oh, a collectible card game. And then you always get these weird roguelite, you're on a train fighting demons, it's no multiplayer, and you're collecting cards to battle in a real-time space. Oh, god damn it, just make a real-time strategy game, or make a card game. I'm so sick of cards being in every game. It's so much so that cards just have, like, been shoehorned into everything. Everything. So, it's like, well, you got a card. What? It's ridiculous.
So that literally, I remember when it was Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you know about that game or not, but it is card based. But it is not turn based. You literally, your actions are cards. So you can move around freely, but to attack, you have to burn a card. And you're not doing anything other than hitting the A button and Sora swipes the Keyblade. Like, there's no reason for the cards to be there. Right. So, like, they like force things in there to make it like card, like, so like your cards have a number attached to it. So it's like, okay, so like there's this small like war element to it. So if you go to attack and your opponent attacks at the same time and your number's higher, their number's higher, then like you just get deflected automatically. So like there's like a little bit to it, but like you said, shoehorning cards in for no reason. There is zero reason for cards to be in that game. The game would function the same way without the cards.
Well, and it's weird because like they use the word cards on things that don't necessarily need the word cards in it. You know, like what happened to the word perks? You remember when everything had perks? Why can't we just have perks? Why do they have to be cards? Back for Blood. And you're about to hear me get rarely negative on Back for Blood. I'm rarely negative on it because I really like that game. Even with the cards being cards, I really like the game. Because I like the card mechanics in the game. It's just, why are they fucking cards? Like at the end of each chapter, you get, like, you have, like, your deck or whatever is all your special little perks. And then at the end of each chapter, you draw basically 5. You get to pick one to add to your character for the next chapter. Why is that a card? What about that as a card? Why can't I just have my perks? These are my perk loadout. And then at the beginning of each chapter, they pop up. Like, they're just abilities. I'm not playing cards against somebody. It's not like I'm like, full house of fucking shotguns. Like, that's just not, that's not what's happening. Why are they even called cards? I don't understand. It's like gaming got this obsession with the word cards, and it's just in everything now.
I don't know. You know what I think it is?
What?
You know what I think it is? This is my little tinfoily sort of hat situation here. I think cards are a lot easier to monetize because of the idea of trading cards. Like, sell me, a loot box. That's got such a negative connotation to it.
A pack of cards, though.
What if we sell a pack of cards? Okay. Everybody loves a pack of cards.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I mean, I don't necessarily think you're wrong. I think that is a good way to like repackage loot boxes and stuff. The only thing that's irritating to me on that subject is like a lot of these games don't have the microtransaction to even buy a pack of cards. So like why are we calling it like, okay, like I would get it at that point. All right, you want a pack instead of this. But some of them you can't even buy a pack. You just get them by doing stuff like Back for Blood. I mean, and I don't know what the release is going to be because I just played the beta. But the way the beta works is like you pick a thing that you're working for, and then once you get to a certain level, you unlock cards of that thing. So like if you want to be like a medic, you pick the medic section, and then as you play the game, you unlock the cards in the medic section. There's not even packs there. You know what I mean? So like I'm not against your tinfoil hat at all. I think you're onto something. But I also think there's a ton of games that's like that doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean? Even with those,
Right.
I don't know. All right, well, that was my digression on cards. I'm sick of cards. And then the next one, I guess I'm going to let you talk about a little bit, but Metroid Dread gets an extended story trailer ahead of its October 8th release date. What'd you think of that trailer?
That trailer was... I think I'm starting to hit that point with Metroid Dread. It's like, all right, I already know, like, I'm...
Give it to me!
One of... Well, the thing is, the story trailer and everything, like, they have those, like, logs of, like, lore-related stuff. Mm-hmm. Outside of the comics, I know pretty much everything front and back about Metroid and the lore in the series. So... Like, I kind of already figured where they were going with everything from what they had already said and shown off already. But, I mean, I'm just more... I was actually disappointed with that trailer. Because you know what I was expecting? I was expecting the demo available now.
Really?
At the end of that. I was expecting them to put a demo up.
Okay. I mean, Nintendo is known for demos, so you would think.
Yeah, that's the thing is they've been lately they've been doing a lot of like when you're getting close, like within a month of the release of something, they'll put a demo up of it. They did that with the most two recent Monster Hunter games for Switch. Other things here and there, they'll throw some demos up. So I was expecting, hey, here's a half hour or whatever timed demo that you can play through the first bit of Metroid Dread or whatever. And they didn't. They didn't. And I was still like a fool hoping for that Metroid Prime trilogy that it's probably at this point it doesn't exist. I'm quite certain it doesn't exist. We've had rumors for how many years now about it being a thing. It's not a thing. So I can, go back and play Metroid Prime on the GameCube like I had been wanting to do anyways.
It's just not going to happen.
It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And that's okay. That's okay. I remember.
Well, you are getting Dread at least.
Right. I mean, Dread's existence is already crazy enough. So.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, that surprises me that it kind of bums you out a little bit. That does make sense, though. Nintendo does like to do demos, so I'm kind of surprised that we didn't see a demo of some sort.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as far as the Prime trilogy goes, I don't necessarily think it doesn't exist. I think they're holding it until they can, like, chuck it at us when they need it,
And they will do that whenever they have Prime 4. If it does exist, whenever they have something tangible for Prime 4, I think that's when they would throw it at us.
Right.
Because especially at that point, like if they don't at that point, like it's not real, it's never been real, and it's not going to exist. Because that there would be the absolute 100%. If you're gonna do it, time to do it.
Well, when is Metroid's like anniversary?
This year.
So they should have done it this year then. That definitely. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's one of those things to where like this is a pretty good time, but they have Dread coming out.
Right.
So like that's their hurrah for the anniversary for Metroid. And then with Prime, that's the only other with Prime 4 is the only other time that they would have to put it out and it actually means something.
Right. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Are you good to move on?
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to the next one, we have Project Triangle Strategy is now called Triangle Strategy, and it will be released in March 2022. This one had a demo, like last year, I want to say?
Yeah, when they initially announced it. And what I think is very interesting, too, is they made some changes from feedback.
Yeah, they did. They did fine-tuning based on difficulty, improvements on on-screen visuals like UI, camera controls, and the ability to review prior dialogue. And they also streamlined the game flow and loading times, at least according to them. I do want to say that I think the name is dumb.
Yeah, never in the history of ever have I heard something called Project something, and they just dropped the project from it.
Right? Like, I was like, this is gonna be a different name, but they were just like, no, it's just triangle strategy. What the fuck is triangle strategy? Like, I think it's a ridiculous. I never actually got to play this demo though. It's still on my Switch. I never actually jumped into it.
Yeah, same. I remember being interested in it whenever I first saw it.
I was really interested in it because apparently, like, the choices you make and who you fight on really changes how the game is played. That's like their big catch, you know?
Right.
Kind of almost Mass Effect-y in that way and that way alone. But like, I don't know. I just never ended up playing it, which I guess might have been a mistake. But yeah, I still think that title is just the worst title.
Oh yeah.
All right. So next we have ActRaiser Renaissance is a remastered version of SNES ActRaiser, and it's out as of Thursday the 23rd. This is from the classic SNES game. It features both side-scrolling and city building. It's a really weird mesh. I never actually played it on the original SNES. Did you?
No, I honestly had never even heard of it up until this point, and like I had played the SNES back in the day. That was my primary console, pretty much. So I just had never heard of it until now, and it looks interesting.
Yeah, it does. I don't know if it's something I get interested. It was very weird because it's definitely like a side-scrolling platformer almost.
Yeah, kind of.
And then it switches to this like city building mode. Which I just would never see those two like put together.
Meshing?
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just not something I ever played when I was a kid. I had heard of it, but we just never actually played it. So I don't know. I watched the trailer for it. It looks interesting. I don't know that I'm willing to take the risk on it for money-wise, but
right.
All right, so then we have Castlevania Advance Collection brings 4 classic games to Switch today, and this is the one I think we're going to talk about for a little bit. The first one I think we're going to talk about for a little bit.
Yeah.
After many leaks and rumors, it's officially announced that Castlevania Advance Collection will be released later today. This collection features Castlevania Circle of the Moon, Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance, Castlevania Aria of Sorrow, and Castlevania Dracula X. These games feature rewind, quick save, button mapping features alongside a gallery mode with never-before-seen artwork. I have some tinfoil stuff to say about Castlevania, but what did you think about this announcement?
I thought it was great. The Game Boy Advance, the Aria of Sorrow, was the very first Castlevania I ever played.
Really? That's late.
Yeah, that was I was super late to Castlevania. And then, like, now, Symphony of the Night is one of my favorite games of all time.
With all due respect, that's a good choice. I'm not going to argue that at all.
Oh, yeah. Aria of Sorrow and Circle of the Moon, I remember playing. I don't know if I finished Circle of the Moon. But, yeah, Aria of Sorrow was great. And I think it's great that these games are in a collection. I do think it's kind of weird that Dracula X just finds its way into all of the Castlevania collections.
Yeah.
Especially because I don't recall that ever being on Game Boy Advance. Maybe they're like doing it for story reasons.
I have no idea.
Yeah. It finds its way into every single Castlevania collection. It's just bizarre. But yeah, I think it's great. And I'm going to let you do your tinfoil hat thing because I actually read an article somewhat related to this. So,
okay. All right. So you're predicting what my tinfoil hat is going to be?
I think I might, but I'm going to let you go because I've been wrong on these us being on the same page things before.
That's true. Often we think we are, and we are not. I will say, before I get into the tinfoil hat, do you know what the first Castlevania game I played was?
Oh, what was that?
Castlevania. That's right. Number one. Yeah, I played number
brutal.
one.
Oh, yeah. God, that's brutal.
Yeah, back in the Nintendo days, we played the first Castlevania. But yeah, I mean, I will say I'm very interested about this. I'm not going to run right out and purchase it, but if I ever have some spare cash or Nintendo eShop money, I might pick this up. Because these are 4 Castlevania games I have never played, because I never had a Game Boy Advance or anything that these were on, except for Dracula X, but I just don't think I ever actually played Dracula X. So, I'm very interested about this one, because these are definitely 4 that would be completely new content to me. which is kind of cool. As far as the tinfoil hat, I think we're going to get new Castlevania games. That's what I think is happening right now. I think we are starting to get these drops, and this isn't the only one we've gotten. We've got Castlevania Advance Collection. We're going to talk about something later, which the whole Sega collection or whatever. Bloodlines is going into that, and then we have something else. Didn't something else? Oh, we just had a big Castlevania collection a few months ago, didn't we?
Something along those lines.
It was like the Master Collection, and it was like the first 3 games or something like that. I think this is all in preparation for new Castlevania stuff. I think we're actually going to maybe get some new Castlevania coming out. And I don't necessarily think it's going to be produced by Konami, but I think maybe they finally took our advice and ours alone to actually let another company maybe make some new Castlevania stuff. I don't know. Could be wrong. I want to hear what you say and whether or not we're on the same page.
There was somebody who works for Konami was actually asked. I'm not even going to attempt this guy's name because it is insane and I'm just going to butcher it. But basically, Axios asked this guy about the possibility of a new Castlevania game coming out because there's also that Grimoire of Souls coming to Apple Arcade.
Yep.
And he was asked, what's the future hold for Castlevania? What about a new game? And the response was literally it just depends on the fans. So, I think if he had anything to tease, that would have been it. I think they're still just testing the waters with it.
Okay, all right.
I have this terrible feeling that they are literally just looking at, and at this point, sure, there's going to be people who buy the Advanced Collection and the other Castlevania collections, but those are the people who have already played the Castlevania games. The Apple Arcade Grimoire of Souls is the closest thing that they're going to have to a, quote, new Castlevania game since, Lords of Shadow 2?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, your demand is going to be much lower because you're approaching essentially a dead franchise at this point. Yeah. So they have to do something to kind of drum up more excitement for Castlevania. And these collections are good for that.
Right.
But I don't think that that's going to be the thing that's going to make it, to be like, you know what, guys, Castlevania's back again. Especially given the fact that Konami has been focused pretty much primarily just on slot machines.
Yes.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous for the future.
I don't think it's from Konami. I think it's from Nintendo. I think it's 100% from Nintendo. And that's why, we're getting that new game in the Apple Arcade. That goes against what I'm about to say. But almost all of these big collections have come out on Nintendo.
If I would love a new proper Castlevania.
We'll have to see. We are starting to run on time, I think, so I'm going to start going through some other ones that are not as big, and then if you want to stop me, just stop me and say something about it, okay?
I think from what I remember, there was only that one last thing that there's really to touch on. But
I want to at least say everything, and there's definitely more than what you're saying, because there's at least 2 big things we need to talk about. But
we can go ahead. Oh yeah,
right.
There's more.
Yeah,
I forgot.
I forgot. There's more. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic will make its way to Switch this November. The remake that I think is on mobile or something is coming to Switch. November 11th. So if you want to play KOTOR, you can play it on Switch. Then we have they did some Mario Party stuff for the Classic. We don't need to talk about that. They just kind of went more in depth. Animal Cross. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say with the Mario Party, it's I want that game because
I do.
That's
I do too.
That's the OG Mario Party that I know and love.
Yeah, remastered. It'll be a lot of fun. I think it'll be really great, especially with the online functionality. It'll be great.
Yeah.
We could even play it online, which is really cool. Then we got Animal Crossing will get its own Direct in October, and Brewster and the Roost are coming soon, which is an old feature back from an old game that I never played, so this should be interesting. More later. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate's final DLC character will be revealed in early October, but no actual reveals now.
I was frustrated with that.
Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak expansion pack announced for summer 2022, so it's going to be a big, massive expansion, kind of on par with Iceborne for Monster Hunter World. Then we had a Splatoon 3 gameplay and return of the Mammalians single-player campaign revealed. They kind of revealed the campaign of Splatoon that they're doing for 3. I don't really have anything to say about this. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
No, I'm sure there's somebody out there who is very excited for that, and good for them. But it's not
more
me.
Power to you. Yeah, it's not us. But yeah, more power to you. Bayonetta 3 gameplay and 2022 release window has been revealed, so we're actually gonna get Bayonetta 3.
I just want to pause on that for just a brief moment.
That's
so I was watching this thing live, and when they actually showed it off, I was like, "Oh, are they going to show Bayonetta 3?" Because I didn't know. We had heard nothing about this for the longest time. And they showed her, and I was like, "Oh my god!" So okay, we are doing Bayonetta 3. And there was a point where she almost like nod and wink at the camera. She's walking along, just like. Sorry I took so long. Oh my god, come on.
Yeah, it was a little obnoxious. But I'm sure there's a lot of people very happy to see it, you know.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Then let's touch on, there's the 3 major things. The last 3 things to talk about. There's Expansion Pass, Kirby, and the movie news. Which one you want to go into first?
Let's do the Kirby one real quick.
All right.
I don't necessarily have a lot to say about that.
I think this game's going to be cool as hell, man. Spring 2022, they announced Kirby and the Forgotten Land, the next mainstream Kirby, not a weird free fighter game or anything like that. The next mainstream Kirby adventure game, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, is coming to Switch spring 2022, and it will be Kirby's first full foray into the 3D plane. So it's gonna be kind of like your Mario 64 or Mario Odyssey sort of play style.
It's Super Kirby Odyssey is what it is. And don't get me wrong, it looks like it'll be entertaining, but the whole time the only thing that I could see is it is Mario Odyssey. It is straight up and down Mario Odyssey.
I mean, from what they showed in the trailer, it is. But we didn't get a huge glimpse of anything. I really want to see what they put forward later on. You know what I mean? I'm definitely going to give you that. But we only saw 2 minutes of it. You know what I mean? Not even.
Right.
I'll give it a little bit more time to differentiate itself from Mario Odyssey. But it definitely looks like they were like, Mario Odyssey really works. Let's do Kirby with it. Still, I think it's about time for Kirby to have a 3D game. He's a big Nintendo property that really hasn't had a mainstream entry in a long time. He's been in a lot of stuff like Smash Brothers. He got a bunch of like free DLC bullshit games. So I'm kind of excited to see him in his first big mainstream game. I think it's a good play, and this is one that my kid looks like she would get interested in. So I'm kind of excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see more of it.
Yeah.
To get a better idea of what exactly it's going to be.
I think it was a good trailer. It was one thing I'll say again with the trend of Nintendo that they're doing, that they keep doing, which makes me very happy, is the fact that their trailers are not bullshit. They actually have gameplay in it, and that made me very happy that we got an announced trailer with gameplay in it. And a release window. So thank you for that for Nintendo. I'll give them that at least, you know?
Yeah.
So movie or expansion pass? I kind of want to talk about the movie first because I think we're going to talk
Let's do the movie. Let's do the movie. This one is actually kind of fresh right now because Kev and I are actually talking back and forth on Facebook in comments about it.
So I'm really quickly trying to find the list. of all the people they announced to go through it properly. There we go. Okay, so they announced a little bit of the cast list for the Mario movie coming out. The animated one from Illumination Studios. They're the guys who do Despicable Me, Secret Life of Pets, Sing, that sort of thing. They announced Chris Pratt will voice Mario, Anna Taylor-Joy will voice Peach, Charlie Day will voice Luigi, Jack Black will voice Bowser, Keegan-Michael Key will voice Toad, Seth Rogen will voice Donkey Kong, Fred Armisen will voice Cranky Kong, Kevin Michael Richardson is going to be Kamek, and Sebastian Maniscalco, I'm definitely pronouncing that wrong, as Spike. And those were the voices they announced. What do you guys think? What do you think about this, man?
Oh, it's Keegan-Michael Key. I had said Jordan Peele earlier.
Yeah, no, you got the wrong one.
Kev. Yeah, I got the wrong guy. But yeah, I don't. Man, like Jack Black could be okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Seth Rogen can be okay. Chris Pratt.
Here's the thing. All of these people are highly entertaining people who are always good and entertaining in their movies and their stuff that they do. It's just the fact that they were chosen for these roles is weird. So, like, I'm kind of on the fence. Like, I kind of want to give them a chance. Charlie Day is funny as shit in everything he does. Jack Black never lets me down, even when I think he's going to. Keegan-Michael Key, hugely funny, same way. Seth Rogen, I love all of his just about all of his movies. Fred Armisen, same thing. Like, these guys are all very talented people. Chris Pratt, I always find his movies entertaining. I always find him entertaining in movies, even when he picks crappy movies. So, like, I like these people. They're all very entertaining people. It's just, I think there's a shock to it of seeing Chris Pratt as Mario that, like, doesn't really make sense to me. Same with, like, Jack Black as Bowser. Like, I like Jack Black. I like what he does. But, like, is he going to be Bowser? Like, how is he going to do that voice? Like, I don't know. That doesn't seem intimidating to me, you know?
See,
I don't know.
My big thing is it's kind of been a thing that I've cared about for a while.
Okay.
Is casting of people in roles for something that already exists. Now, usually live action-y sort of stuff, I get it. So if it was another live action Mario, God help us all, first off.
Yeah. Chris Pratt as live action Mario would be hysterical, though.
I don't know.
With Charlie Day as Luigi next to him, so, like, I would watch that all day, even if it was bad.
So, like, that could work. But here I am thinking, you know, Charles Martinet has been the voice of Mario since Mario has had a voice. And it's not an actual acting role outside of the voice. So why has Charles Martinet been relegated to strictly just a mystery support role?
Here's my question.
Why hasn't he not been chosen to be Mario?
So, I need you to correct me if I'm wrong on this, okay? Because I have kind of an answer for you. The voice of Mario in all the Mario games, he never says any full sentences. It's never a line. It's like, it's me, I'm a Mario, or something like that. He never really, like, there's no spoken word in any Mario game, correct? Like, it's all either really. Text. It's all either text or, like, sound bites.
It's at most, like, 3 words in a row or something.
So here's the question. Like, can he do that voice for, like, the entirety of lines? Like, okay, and I'm not trying to insult Charles Martinet at all. I'm sure he's very talented. But he seems to be on board with this movie because he's in it in some way, shape, or form. So, like, is it really a thing of, like, I'm sure they wanted to get a big name, obviously, because that draws more people in. But, like, could he actually do, like, a full, like, voice work for Mario? He's never done that before. He's only ever done these, like, it's me, I'm a Mario. Ooh-hoo-hoo-hoo. Like, that's all he's ever done, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's really just as untested
Well,
as Chris Pratt is the thing.
Well, as the Mario voice, yeah, that's all he's done. But he's also the voice of Parthenax in Skyrim.
Right, and he's great in it. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm really not trying to insult him at all. I'm not.
I think if it was back to if it was like a live action situation to where, like, let's say it's like a crazy strain on his voice and they have to cut constantly, like, I could see that being a thing. But given the fact that, again, audio recording is done in takes for VO like this, it very well could be something that's just spread out. Like, hey, let's do like maybe 20 minutes worth of the movie's dialogue here in one day, and break it up like that. I think that they could do something like that. I just think it's unfair to him to have, he is the voice of Mario, and just because it's a blockbuster movie that, we need to get a big name in there to, kick up the star power. Like, why can't you just not have, him do just Mario and then, have your other star-studded cast? Like, I get it too, that he also does the voice of Luigi. So yeah, sure, it would be a bit weird if we had, him being the voice of Mario and Luigi, basically two characters in the entire thing, him just talking to himself. Like, I get that. That would be a little bit weird. And that, at that point, would be a bit more difficult for him. But I don't know. I just, it just rubs me the wrong way a little bit for Charles Martinet.
Did you have a problem when Ben Schwartz got cast as Sonic?
I know I was very about it.
Okay.
But at the same time, like, there's been multiple Sonic voice actors too throughout the years. There's been the ones for the games, then there's been the ones for the animated shows and stuff like that. And that on its own, if that's how it's always been, like, I get that at that point. Like, if there was, granted there was the Super Show. And of course, the god-awful Nightmare movie that we shall never speak of. Like, those all of those things, but like, the primary way that we had ever heard Mario's voice was in those games. And I just feel bad for Charles Martinet in that case. Like, but I get the point with the Sonic thing too. Right.
No, and I'm not trying to, like, be a dick at all. Like, I kind of see where you're going. Like, I saw the cast and I was very conflicted, because I'm a fan of just about everybody on this list and their bodies of work. Like, I'm a fan of all these people, but at the same time, I'm like, would I pick these people to be in these roles? I don't know. I will say I will pick Charlie Day to be Luigi every day, any day. I can't wait to see that. Like, I literally cannot wait to hear that. But every other character, I'm like, should we do this? I don't know. So I'm kind of on the fence. Like, I'm of the mind that I'm like, this doesn't necessarily make sense to me, but I kind of want to wait and see. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No. So definitely.
I kind of see where you're going. So, anything else to add to it, and we'll move on to the big one?
No.
All right, let's move on to the big one. And this is the big one for us. I don't know that it's the biggest for anybody else watching the Nintendo Direct, but it's definitely the big one for us. And that is, we got totally surprised, totally blown out of the water. We were expecting to have an announcement for Nintendo Switch Online. They have the Super Nintendo and the Super Nintendo and the Nintendo, and they have kind of like this rotating library of old school retro games they put in there. We had heard rumor that they were adding Game Boy games and Game Boy Advance games to this as another collection to the Nintendo Switch Online. Well, fuck us sideways. We did not get that. What we got was kind of way better, in my opinion. We got the announcement of the expansion pack for the online. So this will, unfortunately, be a new category of subscription. So when it comes out, you can either stay with your current Nintendo Online subscription, which is still pretty modest as far as fees go, or you can increase the subscription cost to get this expansion pack. They did not tell us how much that increase is going to be yet, but they told us what the expansion pack is going to be, and it will be a Nintendo 64 and a Sega Genesis edition to the online components, and this is just the greatest thing I think I could have ever heard in my life. The games list on it is amazing too. I need to find it because for some fucking reason oh, there it is. There it is. So we will get, from the Sega, on the Sega lineup, we will get Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Streets of Rage 2, Echo the Dolphin, Castlevania Bloodlines, as we mentioned earlier, Contra Hardcore, the best Contra game. I don't care what anybody says. Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, Golden Axe, that's a Neil favorite, Gunstar Heroes, Musha, I've never played that one, Phantasy Star 4, and they've got Phantasy Star listed twice for some reason, but Phantasy Star 4, Rise Star, Shining Force, which is a great game, Shinobi 3, Return of the Ninja Master, and Strider, which is a weird selection since they already have Strider in a different collection, so I don't know what they're going to do with that. And then the Nintendo 64, which was really the big announcement, I think, will contain Banjo-Kazooie, Pokemon Snap, Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I'm sorry. No, these are coming later. Sorry.
Some of them are coming later. So, Ocarina of Time is going to be...
Ocarina of Time is coming. So actually the ones coming out right away are going to be Super Mario 64, which is a little bit of a dick move. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Mario Kart 64, Star Fox 64, the best Star Fox game ever made. Ever. Sin and Punishment, Dr. Mario 64, Mario Tennis 64, Win Back, and Yoshi's Story. So, huge. Like, that's huge. I think that's huge. I don't know. Like, I was blown away by this announcement. I was not expecting this at all. Definitely not Sega to be in there. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I like the fact that the 64 games are coming, and they're going to be selling the wireless versions of the controllers as well for $50 a piece.
Yeah, fuck you, Nintendo, on that one.
But I mean, cool. But at the same time, in regard to the pricing, I mean, it's Nintendo Online is already cheap. It's great, and I'm not complaining at all about having to pay a little bit more, but I feel like it would have been better to say, hey, just so you know, the cost of Nintendo Online is going to go up across the board because we have this. Not have it be a separate tier. Because what are they going to, if they're going to charge an extra, let's say, $2 a month for access to this.
I think it'll be $5.
$5 overall or something like that. Because remember, it's like $20 for the year or something like that, which is, again, is not bad.
Right.
If they say like, oh, $30 for the year. Okay, cool, great. I'm down for it. But if they want to kick the price of the subscription up, the more that they want to kick it up, they have to justify with more features. And are they going to have more features outside of just those games? Because then at that point though, like, it's going to start there, for lack of a better phrase, they're going to start Nintendoing it up. And making things overtly complicated for people trying to get in. So, like, sure, people want the Nintendo Online. I just want the Nintendo Online. Well, there's the standard Nintendo Online that has these two categories of games, or you can get this category of games for this Nintendo Online. And who knows if they have another category. And then if they do like another set of features with that, and then if they do end up adding Game Boy games in the future, well, then you've got that whole cat. So then you've got 3 different subscription tiers that all do the same thing, but you get access to different things. They're gonna, like I said, Nintendo it all up.
I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you. That is definitely a prediction for the future. I think it's going to be doubled. Because really, if you look at what online Nintendo Switch offers right now, like having the online subscription, it allows you to play online, okay, and then it gives you the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo, and then like a couple of free bullshit things that nobody ever accesses ever. Like, really, that's it. That's all it gives you. So, like, really what you're paying that initial $23 for is the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo back catalog. That's what you're paying for, really, in the long run. So, like, I feel like this is another 2 full systems. They're going to be like, all right, it's $40. It's $40 a year now. That's what I think.
And even $40 a year,
it's still a good price.
It's still a good price.
Yeah,
it's still okay, but I just don't want the overcomplication for no reason.
Is it going to be $60 a year if we want to get the Game Boy ones when those come out? Yeah, I see what you're saying.
At that point, though, $60, like, I know they're slowly expanding the categories, the titles available in each of these things, but at $60, you know, like, I want GameCube games.
Yeah.
Like, at that point, like, maybe that just makes me greedy. It very well could, but I don't know. Like, at that point, I think you're really starting to edge up there.
Honestly, I think the real cost goes into the Nintendo 64 stuff, because those are like games that they could sell, which they've already proved that they could sell those games on their own. And Super Mario 64, one of the things that I have a little bit of a problem with in here is now in this expansion pack, but they just sold it for you in a retail collection. They just sold it to you in a retail collection with Galaxy and Sunshine. And that's a little irritating to me that they just kind of sold that, not really for full price, but at the same time, that proved to them that they're like, hey, we could actually sell those 64 games for, you know, if you do the math, $20 to $30 a pop, you know. So I feel like that's what this is. It's like we're upping the price because, you know, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is going to be in some sort of Zelda collection down the road. Like, there's just no way it's not. There's just no way it's not. So they're cutting their cost out of that, you know, because anybody who would have bought that collection for Ocarina of Time are going to just get this. So I think that a lot of the cost, that a lot of the upgraded price is going into the 64. Nonetheless, I do agree with you. They could definitely Nintendo this up, especially if they keep raising the price over and over and over again. It'll be, or if they're going to raise the price, like, do what you said, like, raise it universally. Don't make it super complicated for everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
And like when you were saying about too, like the price for Nintendo 64, I know like porting 64 games because of the development, like how games are developed for the console, is very difficult. If anyone has dabbled in emulation at all for 64, you already know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, like, and if that's the case, if they have to justify it that way, like, even if they were like, hey, look, we have to, you know, it's a separate thing because it's its own development thing. But then at that point, if they're going to use that line of logic, why is the Sega Genesis then lumped in with the Nintendo 64?
Well, that's true. Although I do think the Sega Genesis emulation is nothing. You know what I mean?
That's the thing.
Right.
That's the thing.
The 64,
that was the point.
And you're right. Your point is, I'm completely agreeing with your point. The 64 is where all that work is going to go in. I think I've said on this podcast before we were never going to get a 64 collection like this. So I'm wrong. I'm proven wrong here by them even doing it. So, like, because I never thought that 64 would have a collection because they could repackage them and sell them to us. They're not long enough away that, you know, they could get away with being like, just like the Super Mario collection. Like, every one of these games could have been in a collection and then sold it to us, you know?
And you know what else that also tells me to, this is the last point I'm going to make on this because we were going hyper long.
Yeah, we might have to skip out odds and ends, honestly.
But what that also tells me too is we are not going to get a 64 Classic Edition.
No,
we are not going to get a 64 Classic Edition.
Yeah,
I think
so.
they went the other way with it. They put those out because people were having a hard time getting their hands on the NES and Super NES Classic Editions. So then they put those on the Switch to like kind of soften that blow a little bit because a lot of the titles are pretty much the same on both of those. But now that they're going to be doing this, I don't think we're getting a 64 Classic Edition. There's no way that they would do that because everybody would, unless it's for collectors, because everyone would already say, well, I have these games on the Switch. So,
Well, and I'm on record as saying that the classic edition stuff was bullshit. I think that whole thing was garbage. The Nintendo Classic, the Super Nintendo Classic, like they were garbage things that they sold for way too much money and then didn't produce enough so that they could drive the cost up. I still think those are one of the most like Nintendo-y Nintendo stuff that they ever did with those classics. So I am way more happy that they're doing 64 in this way than a classic edition, which a classic edition is a cash grab. It's a pure cash grab, and I'm not even talking about just like a company is always trying to cash grab. I mean, like it's like a gimmick to get people to buy it. Like those things don't function that well. They're the controllers like don't have a big enough cord. They're not wireless. Like those systems are bullshit. And they did that just to make a ton of fucking money off nostalgia. And they could have done that with the 64. Instead, they're doing it this way, and I kind of appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end this talking point. We might be skipping odds and ends. We're going to talk about it in the break and see what we want to do. Unless you got anything else to add?
No, I don't.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so we're going to skip odds and ends this week. We didn't have anything super important to talk about. We're going to save them for next week and then just have a bigger odds and ends section next week. So we're just going to go right to plugs. Neil, you got anything particular you want to plug?
You know what? I'm actually going to plug Halo Infinite Road because we did a thing and I can't... I'm not going to get too into it because it's gonna spoil the finale. I mean, the finale is going to be very long. The finale is going to be very long. I did not think that what happened was going to happen. In no world did I go into that thinking that that's how it was going to go.
Anybody who watches the finale, and it's very long, but if you stick with it, you're really watching some magic. Some real magic happens there.
Yeah, and I got to say though, it was the most fun that I had with ODST.
Oh,
was
it was so
fun. that mode. That was fantastic.
I'm not gonna lie, I definitely want to stream Firefight with you at some point now. Like I definitely want to stream Firefight with you. Like that has to happen. We have to make that happen.
We can do that on an off week with the next season.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm not gonna lie, we might even take an extra week off just so that we can stream some Firefight. That was so much fun to stream. And Halo always gets a ton of views on Twitch, so yeah, jump right in on that. So the specific episode that he's referring to will come out 2 weeks, a week from this coming Thursday. So if you're listening to this a week from, if you're listening or watching, it will come out a week from this Thursday. This week, you will see the resolution of the campaign for ODST, and then we did one episode of Firefight as the finale, just to kind of like pad it out a little bit. And that episode... It's some real magic. Real magic in my opinion.
It was
real
fun.
Magic. Some hot ass bongo. So as far as me, I don't wanna plug a bunch of stuff today. Just please check me out on Twitch. I've been streaming at least 3 times a week on Twitch. And doing a lot of streaming just in general. You guys seem to like the streaming. So please, if you're listening to this and you have Twitch, just go give me a follow. Because all I need is 50 follows to start, I think, making money there. I'm not quite sure I understand Twitch yet. But, so I'm just going to wrap this thing up because I'm super tired. Check out everything we have to offer. We have a ton of stuff. We've got Machinima on the channel, Machinima Wrestling League on the channel. We have Let's Plays. We have this podcast, we have in-depth reviews, we have all sorts of stuff. So just check out everything we have to offer. Plus, you know what? There's one thing I'm going to plug. So one of the Twitch streams that I'm doing, I'm calling Epic OMG. I'm playing Wildermyth, which is this really cool procedurally generated tactical game that I've talked about multiple times on here that's all about the story. And I am literally putting community members from Discord into the game because you can customize the avatars, and then I'm trying to do fancy voices, and it is just an absolute train wreck mess. But the first episode is up right now. I'm posting them on Saturdays because it's very easy. Like, you can watch me do it live on Twitch, and then I export it to YouTube, and I've been posting it on Saturdays. So please check that out. It's a lot of fun. It's ridiculous. It's super ridiculous to try and watch me do voices I can't do and have no business even trying. So I'm gonna promote that this week. And if you don't watch it on Twitch, you can watch it in the back end on Saturdays. I'm going to start posting that on our days off. Other than that, you can check out everything we have to offer here. You can also contact us on Facebook at OldManGamingTH, on Twitter at OldManGaming9. You can join our Discord. Link is in the description below. You can influence this in all of our shows from there. You can, of course, give us a follow on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/OldManGamingDH. And then, guys, as long as you keep watching it and listening, we will keep trudging along and making it. See you guys next week.
Oh, son of a bitch.
What?
Oh, I had a bag of Swedish fish sitting on my desk, and I thought there was still some left in it. And
That's
just
the saddest.
not. And yeah,
you think you got food somewhere, and then you're like, no, it's gone.
Yeah. Oh well.
You know what the best is? When you realize you have it. I had that today. Like, I thought I was out of cereal because I'll only buy it for myself once in a while because it's actually super unhealthy for you.
Oh,
but, like,
yeah.
I eat it like a dessert because I love it so much, so I'll eat it every once in a while. And, like, I just realized today that I've got one more bowl of cereal up there that's just been sitting up there. I'm like, I have cereal! This is the best day!
That's like, I forgot. I left a $10 bill in my center console. And I swapped my glasses because I have my work glasses and I have my just regular everyday glasses. And I went in my center console in the car and I'm struggling to get my glasses case out. And when I do, this 10 just pops out. I'm like, what the fuck? Where were you?
Yay!
Champ?
Where are you, champ? Thanks for coming back to me, buddy.
Right.
I'm going to spend you on stuff.
Yeah.